Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait.
I'm waiting
for it. And boom, we are waiting. Now wait it for it, everyone, because we are now live. This is the Slam Jam Wrestling Show here on the Extreme Improv Extremes YouTube channel, as well as the Slam Jam Wrestling Show YouTube channel. And you can find us on a bunch of other destinations as well. DLive, Twitch, Twitter, I forget, in fact, everywhere where it is, Kick, and some other places. So, yeah, on the show tonight, we're going to be giving some predictions of the Survivor Series, which will be happening this weekend. There has been all kinds of stuff happening in the world of AEW as well as WWE, some independent wrestling news and some other stuff going on. But we will get into it and so much more once we have rolled the credits.
Oh, well, yeah. It's a Slam Jam show. Yes, a Slam Jam show. Oh, yeah, yeah. It's the Slam Jam show. What you gonna do? You dig that? You think you know me? It's the Slam Jam show.
Okay, yes, there we go. So welcome back, everyone. So we're going to get into everything. But first of all, the thing I was going to address, I am going to address it live on the show, because StreamYard, you shall not get away with this. Now, this show, it's a lot of them Geek Battle stuff that I stream. I do through this platform called StreamYard, because it makes it nice to share some like intro videos like that. So that's the other performers, the other panelists on the show get to see them. Whereas when you do it through Zoom and use broadcasting software, it's all a faff. Now, this being Black Friday week, everyone's looking out for all of the deals and stuff. And what I've just discovered is stealthily, StreamYard have quadrupled their price. And so I'm going to be seeking a refund. If one isn't possible, I will be shitting on them publicly for the next year until I never pay them again. But I'm going to seek my refund, and then probably as soon as I can get it, we're just going to stream via something else. Zoom is still good. It's not worth it just to play some little clips here and there and screen share better. That's all you're worth, StreamYard. So Capelthave, if he was here, would be so pleased, because he hates you more than anyone. Now, Dave, since that is done, let's get on to some wrestling stuff. Say hello to the people, Dave.
Okay, hello people. Yes, it's Dave Jervis Green, and yeah, I was waiting for you to do like a Paul Heyman shooting on the Nashville network back in the year 2000. I was like, StreamYard, I hate this network. I hate you.
I might just clip that, Dave. You did it perfectly. You put it so eloquently there.
But yeah, I've got wrestling facts for you, Dave.
Hit me
So
with it.
this is what I was just curious about it because I can't say I've kept up a huge amount with stuff that's been going on recently because I've been for once actually quite busy and actually too busy to watch a lot of wrestling as it's happening. So I was all caught up a little bit, but I was quite intrigued a few months ago when Jimmy Uso made his return and all that sort of stuff, and a few months ago, and I was just quite interested in the record books because it sort of occurred to me as thinking when we sort of were coming around to do WrestleMania predictions, we both sort of agreed that I thought that he should have beaten Jay because he needed to win more and all that sort of spaces, and it didn't happen.
Yeah.
So I've had a little look on good old cagematch.net. And do you know that since Jimmy Uso turned on Jey Uso at SummerSlam, in the record books, Jimmy Uso has won. How many matches do you think he's won in that time?
Okay, well, it's going to be. I'm guessing it has to be quite low. So I'm going to say he's won 3 matches.
He has won precisely 1 match since he turned on Jey Uso,
including
today. He's won 1. Do you want to go and guess who it was against?
Well, I don't think it was against Jay. I'm trying to think who would have had single matches against. He'd have just been sent as cannon fodder before people go for solos.
I wouldn't think too hard about it. I think you're not going to get it.
Okay, go on.
His last win was on the 29th of September 2023 on SmackDown, where he defeated in 2 minutes and 7 seconds Carl Anderson. That's a stat. That's a fact for you. A stat for you. He's not won a single match, even on house shows, according to Cage Match. So
I didn't get it.
Including when he's recently come back as well, because he lost the Solo and he lost the 6-man at Crown Jewel. So it's not looking good for War Games.
Well, you know, this is the interesting thing with War Games. Like, I'm not going to take credit for this. I like Cultaholic or WrestleLamia or one of these ever-present, constantly posting wrestle things on Twitter shared like a theory that at some point it would be the return of Rikishi, who would screw over the bloodline in some way and said that he did it for The Rock. Now, I am all in favor of that. But I think it has to be that The Rock gets into a conflict with Roman or the Usos. But I think they need to lean heavier into the Usos because that's the dad, or I suppose he's also Solo's father. So he needs to do something where he definitely betray. Maybe he'll come in as a face, like do something to Solo and then say he did it for The Rock or something like this. But would that make it like the longest term storytelling? When nowadays everyone loves saying about long term storytelling.
Yeah.
What story could they call back to that's older than that?
Oh, I don't know. You could probably get back, go right back to the Head Shrinkers or something like that, and say, "Oh, this is what bring in Samu back in his old partner and say,
Gosh.
The Rock. Well, I'm doing it for Roman," and the Head Shrinkers face off.
Yeah. So, how is Samu related to anyone?
Oh God, he's like he's much older than I actually. Greg, I think he was. We ever thought he was at the time because he was. I think he's brothers. I honestly don't know. The lineage is so random and all over the place, but he's definitely someone's uncle or
relative.
Okay,
so I've tried looking up Samu 2024. Maybe that's just a bit too ambitious. Because I remember Samu just disappeared in like the middle of the 90s, and that's why we suddenly got the Barbarian as the other Head Shrinker.
Yeah, that was really random.
It was so random. And look, so this says Samu 2024. So this might in fact be somewhat recent. So I'm guessing that's Samu because that looks like Afa.
That's Afa or Sika, one of the two.
Yeah, so I'm going to assume that that's Samu.
Well, you know, he went to he disappeared from the Head Shrinkers and he went to ECW where he teamed up with Rosie.
Wow.
ECW.
Rosie was in ECW.
Yeah, they were the Samoan something. I think they were Samoan Gangsters or something like that. They had a feud with the Gangsters at the time as well. It was like, hang on, what? Rosie was in ECW? What? So he was a bit older than we Greg credit for as well. At the time, he was teaming up with Jamal and Slash Umaga. It's weird. They bridge so many different generations in those timelines that you can't guess how old some of these people are even at the time.
Yeah. Okay. So you're right. 1996, the Samoan Gangster Party.
That was it.
Wow. And then later career until 2022. So what? 2022. He retired in 2022, and he
Who did?
never re-emerged for anything in WWE. So
That's unreal.
surely he must have had like one match here and there. So he came out of retirement on the 5th of April 2024, teaming with his son Lance to defeat the full-blooded Italians, who are still apparently around as well. Little Guido. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Oh man. That's
Yeah,
a
so-
lineage as well. The full-blooded Italians lineage. Let's go with that one, shall we?
Well, like, so who was that? There was
Guido,
like
Guido.
Big Sal, there was Little Guido. Like, I think in WWE they added Johnny the Bull, or was that just in WCW? Who was it? Big Vito.
Johnny the Bull, Big Vito. They were the Mamalukes in WCW, but
Yeah, that's
he was
right.
also they were also in FBI at some point. Chuck Palumbo was in FBI at some point in the WWE as well. Let's say he decided he was Italian. Big
Yeah,
Guido,
you're right.
don't forget him.
Wow.
Big Guido, who was just as big as the Big Show, but got treated like a complete jobber by him. Who else was in there? Oh, don't forget. Of course, you had what's his name? The former NWA champion Tommy Wildfire Rich, who was in the FBI for a little while. Who else was in there? I'm pretty sure Mabel was for one night in the FBI.
Mabel.
Yes.
Wow.
And Ulf Herman, the Angry German from FWA fans there, for a little while as well.
No, absolutely. So they could do some long-term storytelling with that, but I don't know. Like, if they could connect the dots that somehow that's the whole I did it for the Rock thing. The Rock owed him, like the Rock had something over him, obviously, because of that. All these years later, and then obviously, who would turn up and say this culminates at WrestleMania? So I always feel like you could have Rikishi in the background of the Bloodline as their equivalent of Paul Heyman. And so then when you have something that's like, I did it for The Rock's then there. And then finally they do what they should have done this year. And Stone Cold comes out, takes, he's still got the issues with Rikishi. And like somehow it goes full circle. Somehow.
That is very bizarre. There's going to be some sort of absolutely loony sort of match like that at Mania again, isn't there? But just people just running out left, right, and center, and it'd be very bizarre. I'm not sure how much physically Rikishi can do now, though. That's the only thing.
Sure. I can't imagine it's too much. Do you know? I did see a thing where Roman had apparently commented that he can see, or he has an idea where the Bloodline story is going to be in 3 years' time. And when it said like that, I'm like, oh my god, no! Like,
how much more can you do?
I don't think there is much more that you can do with this.
But
obviously, we are heading towards Survivor Series War Games. Let's do some predictions for this, and then we can go on to some other breaking news and headlines and things like this. So, randomly, Shinsuke returned. Were you aware of this?
Yes, he's now wearing some goth pajamas and has got some face paint on his face now, hasn't he?
Yeah, and so he's going against LA Knight. I feel like LA Knight's still going to win this personally, because I just feel like they don't have any real faith in Shinsuke. Like since they won the Rumble, they were like, "Nah, this isn't going to work," and they'll push him occasionally. When just before CM Punk came back, there was all this the teasing. He was doing the go to sleep, and it went absolutely nowhere. He's disappeared for the majority of this year. I don't think there was an injury, but now he is back.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a bit weird, isn't it? 'Cause sometimes he's just like a threat to a title when they need someone to sort of bridge that gap between like a long-term opponent and things like that. So he was challenging Seth and then was challenging Cody for a little bit, wasn't he? And since now he's challenging but
the only way he seems a threat to the title is if he's actually accomplished anything. And in WWE, he really isn't. Yeah, he isn't really in anyone.
He's already won those titles. He's won the Intercontinental and won the US title, and it's all very forgettable reigns. Things like that. Having said that, I'm picking him to win because
well, you think he'll win the title?
It'd be just to have Valley Knight as chasing it for a little bit, and he can win it back at the Rumble. Maybe. Just as a short.
That's a good idea. Yeah, like I think LA Knight isn't going to move on from the US title and then go up to the world title. They could try to push for the Royal Rumble that he's lost the US title and he's going to say that he's winning the Rumble, but he's just going to be one of these guys that says he's winning the Rumble who never does.
Yeah. At the moment, I can't see anyone who is going to win the Rumble at this rate. Unless it's going to be The Rock and challenge Cody.
Yeah, it could be. Or, it's not impossible that they'll do something with CM Punk and Seth and Gunther and something heading into Mania.
Quite possible. Quite possible. But it's not the most incredible. Mostly, I don't know what I just said. It's not the most incredibly interesting match, and which brings us to the other mid-card title match, which is the Triple Threat.
So we've got Braun, Sheamus, and Kaiser. I don't know. I feel like it may be Ludwig's opportunity here.
Okay. I like all three. I like all three of them. I thought it'll be a good match. I can't see Breakker losing it personally. But he's a bit of a madman. Did you see that run that really tried to squish Kaiser against the table to run full force at the corner of the table? It's like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I think it looked terrible, and I think he was probably okay from it. But the thing that brought to my mind, do you remember? I think it was Chris Benoit doing a suicide dive and hit his back across the table, and then it was just a massive. It's that isn't like hitting the side of the ring apron. It's a sharp edge. It's that is a hell of a risky spot to put yourself in.
Well, that time Hardcore Holly just got that big sort of slice across his back that time.
Was it Hardcore Holly? I thought Benoit, or did they both do that? How did Holly do his?
I don't know, but I remember Hardcore Holly and RVD, wasn't it? He did a suplex from the ring to a table on the outside, and then the way it broke, the table just sliced his entire back.
Yeah, okay, maybe they both, but oh god, there's been a couple of really bad moments like that. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, who do you have for that? Do you have Braun as retainer?
Yeah, Breakker.
Cool. Okay, and then we have a women's war game match. So, yeah,
I've got a bold prediction for this one.
Okay, go for it.
All right. So, first of all, let me get this right. It's Bianca Belair, Bayley, who's now replacing Jade Cargill, Naomi, Io, and
Rhea.
So of course it's Rhea. Of course it is. Yeah. And they're against Liv, Raquel, Nia, Tiffany, and Candice LeRae.
Yeah.
Which is a nice addition. I was quite happy to see Candice is in the mix. I think that Ripley's team wins it.
Mm.
And then I'm going to say, this is the bold prediction part, I think Tiffany cashes in on Nia.
Yeah. Oh, okay. See, I was going to make a similar-ish kind of prediction. I think it's going to happen during the match.
It's possible. So, I think it's happening though. I think she's got to. I think this is her opportunity.
Yeah. Okay. So obviously, if it happens, because unless the case is coming into the cage with her, how can she do the "I'm handing it over" moment? Unless it is after.
Gonna bring it in with her, I imagine. Or either that she's got to have it stowed underneath the.
If when she runs in, she's got it and she uses it to hit some people, then people might just think, "Oh, she's using it as a weapon." And then imagine she comes. Well, I don't think she'll come in last, and I don't think when it comes in last, it'll be over. But imagine, boom, 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 knocks people down. Nia's standing there. She's like, "Yeah," and boom, one more, pins her, and then the match could, I think, continue. It's still War Games.
Absolutely. But it could be interesting because I think isn't one of the rules that once the match officially starts, when all of them are in, that if anyone leaves the cage, then that they've forfeited for their team. So it's
possibly is that a War Games rule?
I don't know if that's still a thing. I know it used to be in the old cage, the older War Games matches. That's one of the reasons why no one could leave the cage.
But I thought isn't the idea is that they're locked into it anyway? So how would they leave? Because
they don't have a roof. Well, they don't have a roof on it, do they? On this one.
Yeah. True.
They don't have a roof.
Do you remember the old? Was it the WCW one where Sid power bombs Brian Pillman and he just literally lands him on the top of the cage first?
His feet caught the cage, didn't they? And he couldn't bring him back up, and just dropped him on his head and did another
absolutely.
count. That was it. It was So those they were quite low ceilinged cages, but I always found it extraordinary that it was just two rings next to each other in this massive cage, and then seeing someone like Sting just run from one cage and just run ring and just dive over the ropes onto where it was Dungeon of Doom members or whoever it was that was on there. That's my first War Games match, was the Dungeon of Doom versus the Hulkamaniacs or whatever it was.
Wow.
One of the worst War Games matches ever.
So what year would that have been? Like 94, 95?
95, I think that was the.
Okay. I can't remember off the top of my head which ones I saw, but like I had all of like the old WCW like VHS that they released and stuff like this. So I've definitely seen other War Games matches. It's always a good idea. The only thing is, like, doing two War Games and like the men's and the women's and the men's and the women's Royal Rumble and stuff. I think with the Royal Rumble, you've got to do it. I thought at first they were just going to have a traditional Survivor Series match on the show as well.
Yeah, I wish they would do.
I don't think they should lose that. But I remember probably about 10 years ago. Do you remember at one point they actually weren't going to keep the Survivor Series name? They were going to do a different pay-per-view, and I think people just went crazy. It's like, how can you not do Survivor Series?
And it's like, okay, well, we'll keep the Survivor Series name, but we're not going to have any more of their matches.
Yeah. I mean, for me, my favorite Survivor Series concept was the different teams, and then the winners of the teams form a new team in a main event.
Yeah.
One time only they've gone to that concept, which is such a shame.
I think I was on the WWE Vault YouTube today, and I actually ended up watching that one again. I had that on VHS. Such a random match though, because it's the whole thing of there are goodies and there are baddies. They're going to be on either side. So it was like the match of survival, wasn't it? It was like, why didn't they just put them mix up teams? They could have just said, "Well, we're going to draw whoever's on this team is going to join." You could have had Rick Martel and the Ultimate Warrior versus Ted DiBiase and Hulk Hogan or something.
So who was it? Was it Shawn Michaels and Warrior and Hogan?
It was only because I watched it today. I'm trying to make excuses. I would have been able to tell you whether I watched it today or not. So the Visionaries team of Rick Martel, Power and Glory, and the Warlord all survived, and they teamed with Ted DiBiase, $1 Million Man, against Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, and Tito Santana.
Oh, it was Tito, yeah, and Tito was the only one eliminated there.
And on his team, yeah, and everyone else got eliminated by Warrior and Hogan. Yeah.
See, and obviously, it's like it's Thanksgiving in the States today. I loved all of this. Is how I learned about Thanksgiving. It's from old Survivor Series tapes, where it'd be like, and I'm thankful for, and it would be whoever stood there, the big boss man or someone.
Yeah.
But yeah, fantastic. Okay, let's come on to the next match because
who are you picking for the War Games, women's War Games?
Yeah. So did we actually predict beyond that? I think Rhea's team is going to win.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so Rhea's team will win, but I think definitely it will be Tiffy time. But I think it's going to happen mid-match, and there's going to be a sense, and that might be how they lose. Because I think it might be like, well, it happened, but they're going to still try to keep teaming. Yeah. Imagine that, right? Like the more I think about it, the possibilities. Imagine if it happens as soon as Tiffy gets in the ring, she clobbers her. Everyone else like, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm the champion now." And then they're like, "Whoa, guys, we're still in a match." And then the whole time, their own team are having to separate them.
Yeah,
there's some fun stuff that they could do. Okay, so then we get to Gunther and Damian Priest. Priest can't win here.
You wouldn't have thought so.
No, I don't think so.
Where does he go from here? And if he doesn't, it's like,
I don't know.
Does he continue feuding with Finn and co, or is that sort of story done now with Judgment Day?
I think it should be done. I think they could reignite something at some point, and they could get like another round of that feud out of it a few months away or a year from now, and then inevitably have something happen where they reunite, because no team can ever break up forever. And I just think Gunther being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, longest reigning like NXT UK champion, certainly, however long NXT champion, The only thing that feels a shame is I don't think Gunther is going to repeat that with the. Oh, here comes Dev. I don't think he can repeat that with the World Heavyweight Championship. They could have it so that he goes into WrestleMania as the champion, or go into WrestleMania and even retain as the champion. But it just feels like, whilst Cody and Roman are in the picture at all, there really isn't any space for anything else. Maybe Seth and CM Punk, but if The Rock's going to do anything, who knows? Dev, say hello to the people. You're currently muted.
Hello.
How are you doing, Dev?
Pretty good. Just woke up. How about you guys?
Oh, good stuff. But
I'm joining the live via satellite emblem on your screen there. Even if the formatting of the screen seems to have stretched you out from side to side, it's a bit weird.
Yeah, like how did you do that? Is that with like a virtual cam, or how you get? Is it? Okay. I can't get virtual cam to work on this. Otherwise, I would have some funky stuff going on as well. Dev, I'm not going to repeat myself. I've got major StreamYard issues. But I'll get onto that when we get to Geek Battle, if you're there.
What's the beginning of the show, Dev? It was a shoot.
It was a shoot on StreamYard. But Dev, we have been going over predictions for Survivor Series. We've gone through most of the matches, I'm not going to lie, but we're building up to the main event. Do you have any thoughts on? We're currently on Gunther and Damian Priest. Dev, what's your take on that?
Well, Damian Priest deserves a good run, but Gunther is too powerful, protected to be effective, to be basically realistically challenged by Damian Priest right now.
Yeah, no, Gunther deserves it more. Everything about his matches, the character, he can't just lose it meaninglessly. That meaningfully, I don't know. It needs to have a lot of meaning. We know what I'm going for here. And so I don't know. He could lose it at WrestleMania. When did he win it? He only won it in the summer.
SummerSlam.
Yeah, exactly. So he needs to keep it for a long time. All of these reigns now are they're getting longer and longer. We've moved really beyond the time periods of the Attitude Era, where there'd be title changes 3, 4, 5 times a year. We're now going into multi-year reigns. I personally don't even see a scenario where Cody loses the world title at Mania. Go on, Dev.
For years, people during the Attitude Era have been begging for long tenured reigns back in the 80s. So now we finally got it back. People are bored of the long reigns.
Yeah, that was Attitude Era. That's 30 years ago. It's not. It's longer ago than that. So it's obviously a whole new generations come along that are.
I blame TikTok
going around there.
I blame TikTok.
Well, yeah, everyone's got a low attention span. But but when you look to the 1980s, there's so many wrestlers that were never world champion just because it was Forever Hogan. It's just why was Rick Rude never a world champion? Why was Mr. Perfect seen as a little guy back then, and stuff like this. Why, Earthquake should have been a world champion, and all this. Why was Andre world champion for 3 minutes and never actually got a real run? Because it was Forever Hogan, Forever Bruno before that, and Forever Backlund in between. And then obviously by the time of the Attitude Era, I don't know how long Steve Austin's longest reign was, but it may have been 3 months, 5 months. When you go to WCW in the year 2000, I think the world title changed hands something 21 times, just in between Vince Russo taking over with Eric Bischoff. And then by the time Hogan won it and dropped it to Booker T, and then they left it on Booker for a little while. But they had so many title changes where Nash won it, Flair won it again, Jarrett won it 5 times. Go on, Dev.
My question is, how long did David Arquette hold the title?
How long did who?
David Arquette.
That's a good question. So I think he won it on like a WCW Thunder, and then lost it at the pay-per-view, or maybe it was the other way around. Dave, you might remember this. David Arquette. He won. Did he win it in the triple cage match? And then
did he win it in a tag match?
Yeah.
Was it him and DDP against Jarrett and Bischoff?
And whoever got the pin.
Yeah.
And Dallas Page was the champion. And when David Arquette won, Dallas Page celebrated with him. Nothing made sense. And then David Arquette turned heel in the triple cage. And that's where I think Jarrett won it back.
Yeah, I think so. I think that's right.
Oh my god. Oh.
But not before he successfully defended it against Tank Abbott.
Wow. It's amazing when you look back at the history when it comes to Tank Abbott, that Tank Abbott, like, this isn't a fair retelling of history, but basically Vince Russo wanted to put the world title on Tank Abbott, and that's when they were like, no, we're getting rid of Russo. Like, no one could allow that to happen.
No.
And then, Tank Abbott was given a dancing gimmick with 3 count.
Oh, yeah,
what's that, Dev?
Tank Abbott in Japan is amazing, though.
Do you know what? I've never seen Tank Abbott.
Didn't know he'd done that.
I mean,
him
look,
and Shelton Benjamin as well.
He wrestled Shelton Benjamin.
No. Shelton Benjamin in Japan.
Oh, right, yeah. I've seen him in Japan.
To America.
Well, you know what? We can get onto some AEW stuff shortly, I guess. But Shelton Benjamin, spoiler warning, picked up a win this week. Singles win. People were saying like this would have never happened in WWE, and so so that's good.
He beat Triple H.
Sorry,
he beat Triple H when Triple H lost to no one back in 2002.
Yeah, okay, but if you're having to go back to 2002 to say when Shelton Benjamin got a singles win, then that's a problem. I always loved it a couple of years ago when the Hurt Business were like sort of breaking up. Like Lashley didn't just destroy Shelton. Shelton held his own until Lashley got control. You know, and they should build up guys like that. It was like in the Royal Rumble when you had Shelton Benjamin get in the ring with Brock. It's like, yeah, they were a tag team, like, and hardly anyone in the arena. Well, I guess the arena would have been the Converted, so they would have known. But like, no one knows that because they weren't a team on WWE TV. But they could have made Shelton and Brock have some sort of like callback in history more than just, oh, Brock now throws him out and they'll never reference it again. But anyway, back to the Survivor Series. Gunther, Priest, Dev, who were you
Gunther
going for?
returns.
Gunther, Dave?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, same. Okay, Dev, we'll just before we come on to the main event with it all, did you have any groundbreaking predictions for the women's War Games match? Dave and I have both given some thoughts on Tiffy Time actually cashing in.
Asuka's going to make an appearance.
Okay. To do what?
To interfere on behalf of Damage Control.
How do you interfere in a War Games match?
Wait.
And isn't there's Damage Controls, they're not in the match, are they, apart from Mio?
Wait. Are they not? Wait, who? I thought Kyrie and Io were in it.
Only Io's in it.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it was
Kyrie
Kyrie
and
as well.
Kota are not in it, no.
But I still say Asuka's going to make an appearance. Do something.
Okay.
I'm sure what.
Well, okay.
Blind somebody with a mist.
Yeah, probably.
That would work.
Apparently, apparently they're sending a lot of returns for the Netflix Raw thing. So I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, we can get on to that. I'm very excited about the arrival of Netflix into this, but hopefully they'll be able to. I think, like, guys, you weren't on the show last week. It was just me and Capelfave, and Cap is about as up to date on wrestling as.
You're just talking about Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, were you?
Yeah, like, do you know what? It was a fun show, but like, I was desperately trying to get any talk of wrestling in there at all. We went from that to UFC, and I was like, yeah, so UFC's all fixed, it's wrestling. I just had to crowbar my way back to wrestling on the show. But why did I even mention this? Yeah, so one of the things with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson is their stream went down. They could not cope. And I think it's going to be interesting to see what Netflix can do once they've got WrestleMania, or even once they've got the Royal Rumble. That's going to be their first big test. But I even think they are not prepared for how big wrestling potentially is. I think suddenly Netflix is going to have real trouble in the first few weeks with keeping up with wrestling fans and people who haven't been able to watch wrestling suddenly being like, well, I've got Netflix already. I think the viewing figures for wrestling next year are going to go insane.
Yeah, that's what. From what I hear, right? From what I hear, TK, because of what happened during the Jake Paul and Mike Tyson match, TKO have been talking to Netflix and being like, "Do you want us to help with the servers? Like, do you want us to like provide funding for the servers or something?" Like they're trying to get into an arrangement of like buffing the servers.
Yeah, I wouldn't do that if I were TKO. I'd be like, sign the deal, make it work. You know, I'd make them deal with it. Look, because they're going to get a lot more subscribers. I think, you know, if their subscriber count hasn't trickled up in preparation for this, I think, like with Netflix, month by month, I could take it or leave it. I'm like, oh, Cobra Kai's on or something. And then I'll be like,
yeah,
7, like when Stranger Things coming back. But now they've got like a permanent thing for wrestling fans who is going to keep them there. It'll be interesting to see how much of the archive of like the WWE network ends up on there or not.
I think it's going to be like mostly just major shows. So stuff like those original programs, like the Edge Christian show or WWE Camp or whatever, Camp WWE or whatever. Those sort of things are going to be gone.
Oh my god!
It's going to be mostly the archive of the pay-per-views and possibly the last few years of Raw and SmackDown and things like that. But it's not. All I know, Dave, is that as our shared account will have to will be gone in next month. So.
I know. Yeah, I need to make sure I'm up to date with everything on that, Dave. Yeah, no, absolutely, always do. I know, like somebody will just like come in the way.
All right,
right. But what I was going to say is like we're going to lose Legends House. Did you ever watch that?
I never watched it.
Oh my god, it was like Roddy Piper and like Jimmy Hart and Jim Duggan, or I forget, Sergeant Slaughter in like Big Brother. It was crazy. That was the show where they shouldn't have given up on it. They should have kept that going. Okay, let's Dev, you had your hand up. Did you?
I was gonna say, I really want them to keep Table for Free. That is my favorite show that they've created.
I watched a couple of them. I think one of them was Eric Bischoff and Jim Cornette. And then there was another one or two I watched.
Yeah, there's some really interesting ones, but there were so many of them that just like the connection was very tenuous.
Yeah, tenuous.
Yeah. I'll see if I can find out what ones are. Let's come on to the main event. Roman, the Usos, the Sami Zayn, and the addition of CM Punk versus the Bloodline. Solo, Jacob, Tama Tonga, Tonga Loa, and Bronson Reed for some reason. All right, he is a what was it like? What was that like? Fake?
He's a Samoan.
Yeah, no, like,
he's a Samoan.
Like Australian though, right? Isn't he Australian?
Yeah, the South Pacific, right?
Yeah, but he is Samoan descent.
Okay, well that's interesting. So is he related at all? Can't be.
No.
We'd have heard about it by now.
He's like related like The Rock, basically.
Oh, okay. So this is.
Well, The Rock is related.
Believe this. No, The Rock is not related. This is the thing. When it was like, you know, when they had like the blood oath thing, when like The Rock and Roman, the whole like family tree. It's like, wait a minute. It's just like, well, my grandfather and your father, we agreed to a blood oath. It's like, this doesn't count for anything. You have no relation whatsoever. Like, so it's like the Rock's only relation is what's her face?
Nia.
Yeah. It's like otherwise there's no actual blood relation. It's just a blood oath. But yeah, there you go. So let's come on to what we think will be the situation with the Bloodline versus the Bloodline. Dev.
It's going to be a WrestleMania tier clusterfuck, overbooked WCW mess. Because they're going to have so many people trying to run in, so many people appearing. Nearly everyone in the rosters connected to the storyline, and they're probably going to make an appearance. You have like Drew running in to help the other Bloodline purely because he doesn't like CM Punk, and that's why he's like interconnecting storylines and going insane.
I don't want that feud to be over now, though. Otherwise, that'll be coming up to a year. They've been doing that story with Drew and Punk. How's it being War Games as well? Obviously, with the women's matches, you can't have that many people interfering in it. Otherwise, it sort of makes the point of the match a bit moot. You know, it will be a clusterfuck. Of course, it is. It's War Games. It always is. So it'll be something in there. I was thinking it'd probably be a straightforward win for the OG Bloodline in some way. So I can't imagine they're going to have Punk lose on sort of like return with Heyman and all that sort of stuff. At the same time, though, it's like I really guess end with just a basic win for the goodies and things like that. I don't know. It's going to be a bit unusual in that respect. So I imagine if Rock isn't filming live action
Red 2
Moana or whatever it is doing at the minute, then he'll be there in some capacity. I think OG Bloodline still win, but there'll be something with Rock at the end, maybe via satellite or something. I don't know.
Maybe. What was that pay-per-view a couple of months ago when Jimmy Uso returned? And then at the end, The Rock came out for absolutely no reason. Obviously, he was just in town, but didn't do anything at all. And it didn't lead to anything.
Was it No Mercy? No, that was NXT. I'm trying to remember what it was.
I can't remember. It was Hell in a Cell?
Could have been.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't remember.
This is what wrestling does to us. Too much wrestling. There's too many pay-per-views, and so we can't remember any shows have been happening.
It's it's so hard. Like AEW had a pay-per-view this weekend, and I can honestly say there's a good reason why I wasn't able to see anything this weekend. I haven't seen it. It's probably going to be the first AEW pay-per-view I've completely missed, just because time's going to move on, and I know that. With Survivor Series and other stuff coming up, I'm just not going to get back to it.
Yeah, no.
Dev, you going to say
Bad Blood? That was one.
Yeah, so I kept joking for like a month that the Bloodline storyline literally depends on if Red One succeeds or not. If Red One, the movie.
That ain't succeeded. The Santa Claus protection movie, right? It is so like I bet it's a fun film, but if you remember the what was that movie, Scrooged, with Bill Murray at the start of it? What is it Scrooged where they like watch like, oh thanks Santa, and am I thinking of the right movie where there's like a Santa Claus gets like a shotgun and starts like fighting, and they're like, oh my god, you're the $6 million man, comes to rescue Santa Claus from terrorists. And now literally, and they that was a joke movie within a movie. I'm pretty sure it's at the beginning of Scrooged.
Yes, it must be. Yeah. That does ring a bell now.
It's the movie within a movie. And they see like Santa Claus, the terrorists turn up, and then Lee Majors, the $6 million man, turns up to help him. And literally Red One is that concept. They've got Captain America and The Rock saving Santa Claus. So that isn't going to be it might go on to be a like Turbo Man, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Jingle All the Way style. Oh, we show it every Christmas and it'll make its money back eventually. But yeah, that film isn't going to do great.
If Black Adam had done well, Rock might not even come back to wrestling at all. So it's all
true. Thank God that bombed. Okay, so yeah, let's any predictions. I think the Wolfpack bloodline, the Wolfpack, the red and white or whatever, like this version of the NWO have to win. Yeah, so Solo's one, right?
Right, yeah,
They
that-
have to win for this storyline to keep going
Yeah,
because even though like they've got the band back together, I think there's going to be more shenanigans. So there have been rumors that something's going to happen. Bronson probably won't end up in the match and will either end up with The Rock. Some are saying it might be Brock, but they're saying that Bronson there is kind of a bait and switch. So we'll see if that's the case or not. Because if Seth turns up, destroys Bronson can't wrestle, we need another person, and then it could be Brock, it could be Rock. Something's going to happen.
I don't see Brock coming back personally.
At all?
Nah.
Do you know they've never taken him off the website? He'll be back.
But then they did mention him by name in the New Day segment on Raw, so I don't know.
Yeah, he'll be back. Look at Paul Heyman's position in the company. Look at TKO overall. UFC and all this. He'll reemerge. That will happen. I'd be shocked if it doesn't, but who knows? It may not. He needs to come back just so that his daughter can debut. And I'm going to show you this here. Right, I mentioned this is a great
his daughter, mate. It's taking me worrying.
Right, so his daughter can debut to feud, because if you haven't seen this on the internet today, apparently this is Triple H and his daughters. So they are literally, there is a little bit of Ninth Wonder of the World coming through in them somehow in that DNA. But yeah, so Triple H and his daughters, we're getting ready for the next generation.
Shocker that they might be physically fit. Triple H is their dad. Wow. That is.
Yeah, true.
This is what happens when someone who has steroids all their life is married to someone whose father injected her with steroids all her life.
Well, yeah, exactly. Allegedly, yeah. But
what's he
I
going to do?
like, do the...
So have you not heard of their lawyer, mate? He's quite good.
No, he can't. No, he can't do it anymore.
Jerry McDevitt.
Who's their lawyer? What, McDevitt?
McDevitt.
Is he still a thing? I don't know. I imagine he's busy elsewhere. But so who are we saying? I'm saying the new bloodline are going to be victorious here. Any other bids on this?
OG bloodline.
Okay, so if I say the OG one, unless The Rock shows up.
Yeah, like it'd be interesting to see if The Rock does show up. I think The Rock, I don't care if they're like making Moana or whatever. How could he not say, like, with the year he had and all of the publicity and everything, that he wouldn't see the value in, no, I've got to still keep this WWE thing because it's going to benefit the movies. The Rock was the biggest, most talked about star for months without a movie coming out. Like Black Adam failed, and then he was still like an even bigger star after like a flop like that.
Yeah,
and nobody cared but me, to quote our good friend Jimmy. Right, okay, nobody cared. Right, okay, so let's see what else is going on. Anyone seen anything fun out of AEW? Because they've got their whole Continental Classic, their points system and stuff going like on like this at the moment, which I remember it from last year. It just really, it dominated a lot of the matches on the shows.
Yeah. I enjoyed it.
See,
I thought it was really good.
Go on,
David.
Sorry, go ahead.
Dev, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Okay, I'll go ahead then. God damn it! Right, okay, no, go. Someone go.
All right. Okay, I'll go. So the only thing I know about the Continental Classic is Shelton Benjamin is not on the gold section, is he? Is he on the gold block or
they've got
blue
two
block?
different. Yeah.
I see what you're
And
saying.
they were saying how, depending on what block he's in, will like determine what gimmick he has. If he's in the blue block, we'll get the usual Shelton. If he's in the gold block, we'll get the golden standard from ECW.
Okay, interesting.
What I
idea.
saw today was that I saw some of the results coming on Continental Classic, and that Darby Allin and Brody King had the main event match on there.
Yeah.
Brody won, and the story was that Darby got run over at the pay-per-view. So run him over
Yeah.
or something.
Oh my god! So was he driving a car? I saw a thing about this, and he was actually driving it and smashed and like crashed the car.
Yeah, so Brody was in a post-match interview thing that was on their social medias, was saying I was begging Darby just to not take the match and let's just carry on, because they've had like a long time feud, like or rivalry. Else in other places they've been wrestling each other for years. Obviously they're good friends in real life, but so they had this rivalry saying, "No, don't stay down." So this is probably going to be a little bit of a turn for Brody King, which would be quite interesting, I think. So he's one of those guys that the crowd really does react to in terms of some of the stuff. So as far as in-ring stuff goes, so whether this the constant rumors of Malachi Black going back to WWE are true or not, in the House of Black group disbanding and things like that, I don't know how true any of that is, because there seems to be any time that Malachi Black wrestles or loses, he's sort of everyone's saying, "Oh, he's lost because he's gonna leave now. He's gonna jump ship again," and it never actually does. So depending on that, but Brody's a good guy to sort of, I don't know, have as your sort of next one up, because of the reactions he does get. He is good. He's what you imagine a wrestler to be. He's like a very big guy. He's got a look that only attest to with a wrestler, and he's got a good ability in there. Whether they actually decide to do that anything with him in this tournament, obviously is a different thing. I don't think he's going to win it, but he'll probably stand to have a good story within the tournament, and that could happen to anybody in there. It's a weird little field. It wasn't the first one I'd thought of when I was picking people for who I thought would be in there. I certainly didn't see Juice being in the pick. I certainly didn't see the Beast Mortos being in there either, which is a strange one to go with. I'm glad he is in there, because he'll put on some good matches and he'll make everyone look good that he's in there with. But like you said, Shelton winning over Mark Briscoe was. I thought that might happen because it's the first one in there, and obviously the Hearst Syndicate are being pushed as a big deal. It's nice that they have got this guy that people are saying, "Oh, he shouldn't be winning over guys." Why not? He's a good wrestler. He's new in the company, and people like a few weeks ago were complaining that he was losing to Swerve Strickland. So you can't please people.
No, you absolutely can't. Yeah, no, I completely agree. Okay, a couple other bits, just because unfortunately going to have to wrap this short, but this has been a pleasure. I just want to quickly get your guys' take on the situation with Ricky Starks, if you've been following it at all. Yeah. So Ricky Starks did an interview with Chris Van Vliet, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, and it seems like if you do interviews with him, like issues kind of follow. Because I remember Cody complaining about something being taken out of context or whatever, but apparently he did this. He said like, "Oh yeah, I go backstage at WWE because I'm invited. They're my friends. You know, when we've got people on our TV complaining about those guys or taking digs, so what's the harm?" And suddenly Ricky Starks has been pulled from his GCW matches that he was going to have with Matt Cardona or whoever. And it's interesting, like Ricky Starks is clearly out the door. To be honest, like whether or not Malachi Black ever goes back to WWE, I don't know. I think Brody King, there's a risk there he's going to end up in WWE, because apparently he's a big CM Punk friend of Punk's, and I can absolutely see Punk eventually having some sort of stable or something like that, just where he can have some underlings so that he can be on TV and not be a manager, but kind of have other stuff happen. I could see him getting him in there for that, Dev.
Okay, so the thing Tony Khan does, which I hate, and I'm fully aware of what he does, is he holds wrestlers hostage. Especially like the House of Black. All of the House of Black want to go to the WWE, but Tony Khan extended their contract, because the way the AEW contract is structured is they can extend it if they want. Like Tony Khan can extend it if they want, even like
injury.
Even if injury, and he did it recently to Phoenix.
Penta? Oh, Phoenix, yeah,
to keep him in AEW, so they want to
Yeah.
go to WWE.
Yeah, but like, so they must have. So if say you got a 3-year contract and you're injured for 6 months, they can extend it by 6 months.
Yeah,
You know,
WWE did that as well.
I think they
Yeah.
do because, like, didn't WWE do that with Luke Harper back in the day, where he like publicly tweeted that he wanted to leave, and they're like, "No, you're not leaving," and they
They
made
did
him
with
wait.
Yeah.
Mysterio quite recently, I thought as well. I'm pretty sure.
With who?
because
With Mysterio. I think.
Rey Mysterio.
Wow, Rey Mysterio
Yeah.
wants to leave.
I don't know. I just think that he was coming to the end of the contract, and then there was a report saying, "Oh no, he's got a bit more on the contract." I don't think it was case of him wanting to leave. It's just they just reported that he had some injury time added to his contract.
Because I'm not sure if they did it. I'm not sure if that's the case, but I think they did that to Ricky Starks just now. They've like extended his contract, and that's why he couldn't go to GCW.
Yeah,
It's just a case of you just have to be careful with how you go about things, I guess. And you know, I think Tony Khan has got the right to sort of to sort of at least decide on how his talent is actually used and things like that. I mean, him and AEW and GCW, their relationship's been a bit fraught over the time anyway. I don't know if you remember when John Moxley was GCW champion, but he could only lose it because I think Bill and Ricky Starks interfered in that match or something, or someone did.
Yeah.
And
Sure.
he lost the title. We lost the GCW title to Nick Gage, and things like that. I mean, Danhausen recently has been complaining as well that he's not being quite
Yeah.
allowed to sort of go off. He's been trying to find independent stuff, but he's been actually just trying to find independent stuff to do because he's not being used on television. And he has been. He's been on Independence. He's been on GCW. He's been on Progress over here and things like that. So he's going out about to do things. But I guess if Ricky's just constantly spouting his opinion on things, it's going to rub people up the wrong way, and you got to find a way of meeting in the middle. It's like that's life. Sadly, a lot of the time you've got an employer. You got.
I think like in a year's time from now, there's going to be a stable in WWE that is CM Punk, Brody King, maybe even Malachi Black, Aleister Black, and Danhausen. I think that's going to happen eventually. He's going to have
Sean Spears, Cody Rhodes.
Dave, did you see the segment they did on NXT? When Cody went to NXT and met up with Ethan Page, Lexus King, and Sean Spears. I was like, good to see you guys again.
Yeah. Do you know the thing that's a shame is obviously, look, AEW was built so much on the idea of goodwill, and we're going to do this for the wrestlers and that. And some of the wrestlers will be frustrated, and you can't please everyone, and not everyone is actually quite good enough. And sometimes someone might be good enough, but it doesn't work out for some other reason, and then you'll have some people who don't get used because not everyone can be used, and WWE as well, but AEW in particular overhire and then quickly drop people. Not letting people out of their contracts if they want to leave. It's a tricky one, just because if in WWE, some of the criticism for years, and again go back to the likes of Luke Harper or some of the early people that were like desperate to jump ship and stuff like that. Maybe even like Matt Hardy and people in the early days. It's like, can't wait to go over there and be used. And then not everyone. It doesn't work out for everyone, and it's like, well, yeah. So then all of the future endeavors or just sit at home and ghost people and stuff like that emerges because it's an unfortunate reality that will probably end up happening. We're going to wrap things up in just a moment. Dev, let's get a couple of final thoughts whilst I check see if there's any breaking news.
I'm going to give you 2 interesting tidbits. Allegedly, they accidentally gave Nixon Newell a 30-day non-compete, thinking that she was part of NXT. So she took a booking with a company in Wales and then had to cancel it because the non-compete was 90 days.
Yeah, I think I vaguely saw something about that, but again, just one of these things. They'll rebook that later, I guess.
And the final thing I want to bring up is, speaking of keeping people hostage on the contract. Remember Lucha Underground?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah,
Well,
go on, tell the story because you
So-
might be about to tell a brilliant story that I know about Lucha Underground.
Okay, so I don't know the full details. All I know is
Yeah.
the company ended 2 years before the problems got resolved. But
Yeah.
even though there was no shows, everybody was on the contract for 2 years, but they weren't getting paid. But they weren't allowed to appear on other shows,
Yeah.
on other wrestling program shows.
Okay, at least one of them I can throw a detail in. I'm pretty sure it was Lucha Underground, where one of the wrestlers ended up putting on like social media, or maybe it was MLW. Actually, I don't want to tell a lie. I think it was an MLW contract. So, it's a similar thing where one of like the luchadors was like put on social media. I can't feed my. This isn't funny. I can't feed my family, and like I'm not allowed to work anywhere because of this contract I've been stuck under. And then, like, who is it that runs MLW? I forget the guy's name. Oh, well, whatever. He then, like, tweeted out, was like, yeah, we released you 6 months ago. And, like, there was, like, some, because he didn't speak English. Like, literally, it's like, yeah, like, here was the release. And it was just that he didn't understand it. It was some brilliant story like this, where this guy put out this sub story. It's like, you've kept me hostage. And it's like, what do you mean you don't work for us anymore? Some weird little story like that.
Oh, wow.
Okay, let's wrap things up. So I'm going to give a shout out here because it is the Survivor Series, not Survivor Series, Thanksgiving after all. That we should recognize. Jesus, what the hell is that on the what? Jesus, damn! I always need to check the comments. What the hell was that on the right hand side? It's fine. It's a turkey. Jesus, what is going on? Shout out to the gobbledygooker.
It's a twerky.
Oh my god, that's really good. Well done, Dave. That's fantastic. And the last thing to mention, I guess, Women's Intercontinental Championship. Thoughts?
And US Championship as well, yeah.
Natalia.
Oh, yeah, US they announced a while ago. The only thing I was going to say is I don't think they shouldn't put them both out at the same time. They should have spread them out a little bit.
Nah, but you got to have one for the other, haven't you?
Yeah, but like introduce it. Give each the individual moments. Right, go on, Dev.
I want to say that Natalia will win the Intercontinental because every Hart has won the Intercontinental title except a Neidhart.
Every Hart that's been in WWE properly. I don't think Bruce ever held it.
Yeah.
Or Keith.
Yeah, Keith or whoever else was fighting Jerry
Probably
Lawler's.
Martha.
Sorry, Martha Hart should have been Intercontinental Champion. Yeah. Right, guys, we will wrap things up on that note. I don't see any late breaking news. So go on, Dave.
It's not late breaking news. Really quick one. Dwayne, The Rock's been speaking out The Rock. He was in the news this week where he was talking about cinema etiquette, and he was saying that with regards to the film Wicked that's been released this week, saying that he's all for people in the audience singing along. His back's crooning in the cinemas, singing at the top of their voices. He said, "You paid your money, you can do what you want."
Wow! So in the cinema? No way. Jesus,
no, he's wrong.
I've been to like a professional like stage adaptation of Dirty Dancing, and there's just like when you go to see that show, it's going to be a bunch of like middle-aged drunk women just like absolutely loving it. As soon as the Patrick Swayze character takes his shirt off, they always get chucked out of the theater, and people clap at that moment. So
that's what happened in The Bodyguard, wasn't it? That thing happened last year in the Bodyguard tour.
Tell me, what was that? Because I
remember last year that those women that started singing along with I can't remember her name, but someone who used to be in the Pussycat Dolls is playing the Whitney Houston role. Start singing "I Love You," and then the crowd got someone going, and it puts her off, and she can't sing the rest. She can't do the finale because they just put her completely off. There's a whole debate. Obviously, that's theatre, and obviously, Rock's talking about cinema.
Yeah.
No, it's just stupid etiquette. Etiquette's there for a reason. But I'm an old dear when it comes to that sort of thing. So
yeah, exactly. Well, like same thing. Imagine if you could go back in time and erase the "what" chant. How many promos that would have been like groundbreaking promos were just watted out of the building, out of existence? And yet at the same time, with Steve Austin, it was fantastic.
Yeah. Well,
right, and on that note,
Big Show giving up on a promo, going, "You're going to want me? You're going to want me?" Throws him right down, storms off.
I think my favorite one was the Undertaker. Was like got so pissed off. He's just like, say what if you like to tongue kiss your own sister or something like that. Fantastic stuff. Right, okay, Dev, where can the people find you?
They can find me on Geek Battle Next, and they can also find me on TikTok and Twitch under the name FWD80.
Okay, Dave.
Just Google David Jervis Green and stuff will come up, as someone used to say on this channel.
Okay, and my name is David Pisansky. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, where I will be talking about how shitty StreamYard are now behaving. But with that, until next time, happy Thanksgiving. It's a shoot, brother. Right, now, with that, until next time, stay safe, always stay extreme, keep slamming and jamming, you slam jam bronies, and boom, we're off the air.
And
I left it a couple of